Hello, everyone. Welcome to this new episode of Health from Home series. I'm Dr. Sunil Chaudhary, MBBS, and a practitioner at Activ Health Insurance. Our subject for discussion today is cancer, a word that might make us all anxious. However, if equipped with right knowledge, we can at least learn how to protect ourselves and our loved ones on time from cancer. The several preventive measures that help us reduce the risk of this condition, even then, if one reaches the situation of having to manage cancer in our life or in our loved one's life, we must also be ready with right understanding of the effects it may cause physiologically, socially, emotionally, financially. So, in today's session, we have very esteemed panel today, and we have two doctors, experts who will be talking about who will be talking on this topic. So I'll be introducing Dr. Rahul Bhargava, MBBS, MD Medicine, DM Hematology, and BMT. And currently he's working as Director of Clinical Hematology and Bone Marrow Transplant at Fortis Memorial and Research Institute, Gurgaon. In 2016, Dr. Bhargava became the first Indian doctor to conduct and popularize stem cell transplant in multiple sclerosis. He and his team have conducted over 1,000 plus transplants. Today, he will be helping us understand the physical impact of the cancer in someone's life and preventive measure that one could take to reduce its risk. One point worth discussing today is also that focus of Dr. Bhargava is anemia-free India. Welcome to this session, Dr. Bhargava.
Hey, thank you, Sunil. Thank you for this wonderful invitation and warm welcome.
Thank you, Doctor. Our next panelist is Dr. Vinod Kumar. He's an MBBS, MRC Psych, DPM Nottingham University, CCST from United Kingdom, and is certified psychodynamic, cognitive behavioral, and interpersonal psychotherapist. He's also worked and trained in psych-oncology in England, where he had provided psychiatric intervention in a tertiary care center, cancer center, and in a hospice setting. Post returning to India in 2011, he has worked with cancer patients in various hospitals across Bangalore. Dr. Kumar will help us understand the emotional and social impact caused during someone's cancer journey. Currently, he's heading Empower the Center Bangalore and Learning and Development. Welcome to this session, Dr. Vinod Kumar.
Thanks, Sunil.
So, we'll be going ahead with questions that come to our mind. Now, this question is to you, Dr. Rahul Bhargava. Can cancer be prevented? We hear a lot about prevention of cancer, and in different it could be genetic, different factors which affect cancer could be genetic, environment. But what exactly it means as prevention of cancer in our lives?
Sunil, thank you, and Aditya Birla Group, thanks for inviting and having this very important discussion. And this format is catching popularity. People want to know what comes to their mind as the real questions, and they want to answer, and they want to get answers and they are seeking answers for the same. So, Sunil, let me put it straight. Are you afraid of diabetes? I know you are interviewing me, but I'm going to ask you 2-3 questions. Yeah. Are you afraid of diabetes?
Yes, I am, doctor.
You are. And what is the scale of severity and the scale at which you are afraid of? 0 to 10. Are you afraid till 10 or 2 or 3?
Somewhere around 4, 5.
4, 5. Then why, when we are afraid of diabetes, we are afraid of dengue, we are afraid of any disease.
Yeah.
Let's consider cancer is just another disease.
Yeah.
Why? Because, Sunil, why I ask you that question is, people do get swayed about cancer thinking the outcomes are as same as in 1990s or 1980s, which is not true. Today, the technology-wise, through Zoom in 2 years, I can see you face to face every single minute without getting disconnected. So when the technology is getting so fast and sophisticated in communication and connecting our bridges, then why on earth people don't believe, or they are not made to believe, or the empowerment has not happened to them, thinking that the cancer is no longer a death sentence. Cancer is as common as any disease, and it can be cured like any other disease, provided we have a knowledge. It's just that we didn't knew about COVID. First, we were afraid. Then we adopted a strategy. So in 2020, 2021 and 2022, you can see a sea difference in our attitude towards COVID. Same amount of knowledge, information is passed on to the people. I congratulate you for passing on that, because then by 2023, next you will be asking, and then I'll ask you next 2023, are you afraid of cancer? So you will say, no, we are going to discuss about the latest modality of cancer treatment. Let's not be afraid. It's normal world. Friends, the only way not to have cancer is not to be born. And I'm very sure Vinod, me, my cardiologist friends, my diabetologist, my hypertensive people will going to keep me alive till 75. When we got independence, we were dying at the age of 33. Till 1990, we were surviving till 53. And thanks to a cardiologist, even you have a chest pain on the right side, you get a stent, you are going to survive till 75. You're not going to die early. And cells are going to age. So they are going to play foul. Let them play. We are there to prevent it. We are there to cure it. We are there to treat it by those medication which does not lead to a hair fall like me and Dr. Vinod had while spending 15 years for learning about cancer and cancer emotional support. So we'll make sure that you don't lose your hair with the medicines. Other things you can lose, but not our medicines will not even take one hair out of your head, for sure. So question is, can we prevent cancer? Yes, you can prevent cancer. There are only 2 cancers in this world which can be prevented. 2 cancers. And the rest is, because we are born, we can develop it. 2 cancers which can be prevented: head and neck, mouth cancer, tongue cancer, throat cancer. Why? Because India still has got the largest number of head and neck cancers. You know, people they might have quit smoking, but they have not quit having a betel nut. They have not quit hookah smoking. So in rural Gurgaon, I say, Baba, बीड़ी पियत हो? Baba कहे नहीं. Hookah पियो हो? हाँ, वो तो 5 साल से पियूं. So you see, we have changed our habit from a BD to filter cigarette, and from a filter cigarette to hookah, and a betel nut chewing and tobacco chewing, which is one of the largest cause for a head and neck cancer. So we ourselves on treatment spends 860 rupees every year, 3.4 million. You will not realize 25% of the cancers in India are because of head and neck cancers. So we need to have a strategy of prevention by making ensured, by not saying smoking kills. When Shah Rukh Khan is smoking, you write smoking kills. Nobody sees because they are all concentrated on the face of Shah Rukh Khan, not in the small letters what you're looking at. So smoking, tobacco chewing, you quit. Even if you don't quit, now we have started one more thing. We have started saying, okay, Baba, you can't quit. ITC revenues, you are make sure the ITC become billionaires, trillionaires, for sure, Indian people. At least come for a checkup. Even if you can't prevent it, pick the cancer at stage 1 and cure it. Second cancer is the cervical cancer. So, very, very important thing. India, though, has taken over breast as the single largest cancer in females. Cervical cancer is still a problem in the rural health. And the WHO, UNESCO, Fortis, everybody is trying to build up this story, and they're doing on the rural health grounds of doing a pap smear to look at for HPV and early cancers, cervical cancers, because they are preventable. And how they are preventable? By vaccinating it.
Yes.
I don't have a daughter, but if I had my daughter between 8 to 18 years of age, first sexual intercourse, cervical cancer vaccine is the way to go. So all of us should try to get into the mode of cervical cancer vaccine. And I know the vaccines are now very popular thanks to COVID. COVID has 2 things made popular. One is vaccine, second is genomic. So anything which has to do, people understand. So you say vaccine, they say yes, vaccine. So thanks to government, thanks to COVID, cervical cancer vaccine can also be easily given to people between 8 to 18 years of age, first sexual intercourse, or 40 years of age, people or women who don't have a papilloma virus on a pap smear, they can be prevented. Once the papilloma virus gets inhabited into the cervical region, then probably you don't get any benefit of the vaccine. But other than that, these are the people who get vaccinated and the rest of the things all helps you to tolerate therapy, helps you to navigate the cancer journey better, but there's no prevention. You can't prevent it. So the two commonest things which can be prevented, mouth and cervical cancer.
Thank you, doctor. So related to this, another question that pops up in our mind is this for you, Dr. Vinod, that is there a role of stress management and meditation to reduce the risk of cancer, considering the current lifestyle? So what is your say on that, Dr. Vinod Kumar?
Yeah, so this is a very interesting question, and I think Rahul will agree with me that the whole idea that a lot of people don't understand what stress is effectively, right? It's talked about all the time. I'm all stressed out. I'm stressed out. See, for me, stress is any kind of overwhelming, experience when you have a certain capacity to deal with a situation. Now, if you are overloaded, you feel stressed out. Rahul can see 10 patients in a day, but he's asked to see 20. So he's stressed out, right? So so stress comes from all shapes and sizes, in all shapes and sizes and from all sources. So it comes from the environment we live in. So, if your journey from your home to your clinic or your workplace is full of chaos and traffic, it's stressful, right? If there's a lot of noise, it's stressful. If people around you, like you have a difficult spouse or a difficult boss or a difficult colleague or a difficult child, they all stress you out. But the biggest source of stress is our personalities as well. Right. So if you're like what we used to refer to as type A personalities, or very highly strung, always seeking perfection, betterment, needing control and domination. Now, such people will be stressed out even if you put them in a bubble, right? Now, so you have to kind of try to deal with the source of stress from within and from without, wherever is possible. But like Rahul said, if you're alive, there's going to be stress, right? So the idea is that थोड़ा जितना कम कर सकते हैं ना, वो आबेल मुझे मार वाला काम नहीं करना चाहिए. You can do what you can, and not go for like too much more than your capacity and overestimate yourself and so on. So there's a lot I can say about that. But what is the actual relationship between uncontrolled, relentless, chronic stress, which all of us are subjected to a certain degree, and sort of developing cancer, is a very big open question. Now, I firmly believe that stress, like relentless, chronic, overwhelming stress, is the reason for all the modern day ailments, including so why would a person become obese and hypertensive and diabetic? Because he's stressed out. Now he finds solace in eating and drinking, and all the sort of bad vices which we had developed, like smoking and tobacco chewing, which Rahul was referring to earlier. Now that is nicotine addiction, nicotine dependence is a big cause of cancer in the head and neck region and in the lungs as well, right? So now nicotine dependence, I deal with it all the time. Huge issue, and it's a way of, if nicotine is a parasympathetic stimulant, in the sense it kind of it chills you out a little bit, right? So it's an attempt to kind of de-stress. So pehle you make lifestyle choices and decisions that stress you out, then you want to smoke away and chew away to glory to calm down. Now and then that will lead to cancer. So it's a very kind of stupid thing to do, right? But we all do it. Majority of the people do it. Now meditation is another word which is kind of thrown about a lot these days, and it has so many different meanings. But for me, meditation is not what Baba Ramdev teaches or a particular guru teaches. Meditation has to be possible anywhere, everywhere. So a simple technique I would say is just people should become aware of their own breathing. And that brings you in sync with nature, with your prana, if you like, and and that calms things down in your mind and all the rest of it. So I think if you put any system under stress for too long, continuously, persistently, things will malfunction. Like you take a car and you ride at like 120 kilometers an hour, like continuously for 10 hours, things will start to burn out and wear out. Yeah. I think that's what happens to the body as well. And the manifestations can be myriad, including, the modern day ailments to various cancers and so on. But there's no direct kind of correlation. But there's a very interesting area of medicine, what we call as a psycho-neuro-immunoendocrinology. So the link between stress and all these sort of mysterious systems of our body, right? So it's a very kind of mysterious area, and science is kind of making inroads in it, but very, very limited so far, I think. But I feel more and more since I've come back to India, the spiritual side of things. So how to remain kind of relatively stress-free is the magic keyword to remain healthy in the long term, I think.
Yeah, thank you, Dr. Vinod. So one more question that keep coming to our mind, Dr. Bhargav, is that because even during the treatment of cancer or even as a prevention, so a lot of lifestyle conditions like diabetes, hypertension, could be BMI, high BMI, like obesity and so on and so forth, are also related to diet and how we are exercising, how much we are sleeping. So do they have a role to play, and is there a way that we can prevent some of the cancer or its negative effect that has role to play related to your balanced meal and sleep, etc.?
It's really very interesting point, and easier said than done. I mean, when you sit at the other side of the table, it's very easy to lose weight, don't get stressed, don't smoke, don't drink, and come 7 o'clock, half the doctors are in the somewhere or the other doing the same thing what they have told, and they with a pouch on, and the patient is looking, you say lose weight, and he is looking at your tummy and say, oh God, are you losing weight? So it's easier said than done. For the public to understand, any exercise, balanced diet, sleep is like an SIP. It does not lead to one single day you sleep for 8 hours and it gives you a benefit. It does not lead to this. You eat balanced diets for ages together, like our parents have taken it for ages, and that's why probably at the age of 70 they are much more fitter than me. I mean, my mother is much more fitter than me at the age of 75 because they have eaten it right way. They have eaten the right things. They have eaten the right time. So it's not only the balanced diet, it is a balanced timing also at what time you eat. What is the time duration between the eating? Now the fancy things of all the fasting which we used to do is now coming back to haunt us, saying, okay, let's do a keto diet, let's do intermittent fasting. I mean, that was all in our ancestral things what we were doing, but we never bothered to do that. Having said that, once you develop a cancer, and still it's not too late. One is prevention strategy. Yes, you keep on doing the right thing for next 40 years. Even if you develop a cancer, it will help you to tolerate that therapy. It will help you to navigate that path much more easier. Okay. First thing is important. Remember thing. The balanced diet is not like a stock market which just goes up and comes down. Okay. Yeah. It's like an SIP. You have to wait. You have to really give time. Second most important thing is when you develop cancer, you have to change your habits. Again, it's easier said than done. Obesity leads to more mortality. We have seen it in COVID. What was the single factor? Diabetes, hypertension, obesity was the leading cause for death in COVID related problems. So we have to shun weight either on your head or in your tummy. You have to lose weight, lose ego, lose weight. It's as simple as that. Both helps to navigate life. Okay, one. Second important thing, stress, as Dr. Vinod has already told you, stress, it will come. It will come. You have to start adapt to live with that. And how you negotiate in life between choices what you make is going to help you to less stressful. Okay. Yeah. Third important thing is diet. Have you ever thought what are we eating? I mean, of course. I mean, on the desk you go to, there's a samosa. On your desk, you can do that. But on a day-to-day basis, it becomes a problem. My kid last sitting in front of a computer, his stable diet is Maggie. Thanks to COVID, he has gained 10 kgs weight, 15 kgs weight. How will that? We have not made a conscious choice, Sunil, because health is always unbudgeted. In our normal lives, health is always unbudgeted. So what my message to people is, all this diet, sleep, balanced diet, stress helps you to tolerate chemotherapy better. It helps you to tolerate the side effects of the cancer itself better. And believe me, somewhere or the other, in 1885, we first understood that the cancer happens because our own T cells have stopped responding to cancer cells. And in 2022, we are utilizing our own T cells. उनको उगा रहे हैं, उनको जगा रहे हैं कि उठो, 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 by way of medicines which cost 2.5 lakh rupees, कि उठो और कैंसर सेल को मार दो. वो उठते हैं और कैंसर सेल को मार देते हैं. So God, though has given a problem, God has also given a solution. So on a larger scale, friends, please take care of your body. Be intolerant to your body. Body gives you message. Respect your body. Make health spending expenditure budgeted in your own self. Visit to a doctor so that you don't have to visit a doctor. Please understand that fact. You have read enough. Millions of times, millions of seconds, hours have gone in telling you and preaching you what is balanced diet. Pick and choose of what you eat right. Don't go sway on the other side of keto diet and intermittent fasting. Do right things at the right time, 8, 2, and 8. That's what matters.
Very, very interesting, Doctor, the point that you made. Or it's like an SIP. Like the similar thing that I've heard in the past is you don't brush for, let's say, for 365 days, and on the 1st January and on 31st December you start brushing it 365 times. Then it won't make your smile better. So it's an SIP. So there is no shortcut, and so it's investment in yourself. That also leads to another question, Dr. Bhargav, is that what we are observing in a current scenario, that if let's say your first degree relatives have suffered from a particular kind of cancer, could be breast cancer or cervical cancer, there is a your chance of getting it 10 years earlier because of, let's say, your parents were suffering, then it's actually getting closer by 10 years by each generation. So, or basically what I mean to say is there is a genetic predisposition that cancers have. And what is your what can one do for early diagnosis, or is there a treatment? There would, some celebrities doing complete mastectomy considering some genetic factor. Then what is your say on this?
So Sunil, very well said. Very important point for the general public. So I'll ask you, Sunil, how many types of cancer there are? Say there are 250 cancers, say 300 cancers. Does CML travels in family? Answer is no. Does multiple myeloma travels in family? Answer is no. CLL, no. AML, no. ALL, no. Lymphoma, no. Prostate cancer, no. Lung cancer, no. Head and neck cancer, no. Cervical cancer, no. So the question is, larger question is, not majority of cancers travels in a hierarchical manner from mother to son and son to the son. Okay, it does not happen that way. First of all, very clear message. One familial history where it has been found to travel is a breast cancer, and that too a genetic mutation called BRCA. Dear friends, why genetic mutations are important in today's world is Dr. Vinod looks so beautiful and Dr. Bhargav does not look so beautiful is because of the virtue of the genetics. Okay, so genes decide who's going to look beautiful and who's not. And Sunil has got a cutest smile after such a long time we have seen. So it all depends upon your genetics. So genetics decide that am I going to pass on this genetics to my daughter or my son? So I have a friend, my junior, whose mother had a breast cancer, sister had a breast cancer, and he himself is carrying, he's a male. Male also can get a breast cancer. So he's carrying a BRCA1 mutation, but still no problems. So if you have these mutations, by doing all these mastectomies and ovarectomies, you reduces your risk because there is no seed, there is no soil, then and where will the seed will grow. So people do that. There is a mechanism because it's better to be alive and creating and contributing to society rather than being suffering from a cancer. So it is only 1 or 2 cancers where there's a familial inheritance which takes place, but in rest, no. And that too, once we have understood, we have a screening methodology. Will all people develop? The answer to that is no. What is the percentage chances? 1%. So what are you afraid of? Because this implication, why Sunil, why this is an implication in the public life, and a public forum, why it makes an important difference is because how we marry, how we choose our partners, what questions do we ask, all it boils down to them. अच्छा इसके घर में कैंसर की हिस्ट्री है, इससे शादी नहीं होगी. And when you are having a love at first sight, and Vinod will agree to that. Once you have a love at first sight, you don't have a checklist. इसको कैंसर था, इसको थैलेसीमिया था, इसको हीमोफीलिया था, इसकी जन्म पत्री में क्या था. You don't do that. You just fall in love. You meet and you just fall in love. So the thing is, people need to realize and understand through a knowledgeable and a scientific endeavor that all cancers don't travel, don't carry on in the subsequent families or to the inherited to their sons and daughters.
Thank you, Dr. Babu. So now this next question is to Dr. Vinod, to you. Now, what are the psychological factors that can increase the risk of cancer, and how does one, help oneself, and how do you identify this?
No, I said I answered this partly earlier.
Yes.
But there's no like specific factor, but I think they're all sort of multifaceted, complicated pathways that lead to kind of So if you like I said, if your personality is of what we call as an obsessive compulsive type, right? Now that means your system is under stress, and too much stress will lead to dysfunction at various levels. So it's all very mysterious, very unclear, but clearly sort of. Because of stress, if your lifestyle choices are too much smoking, too much drinking, bad sort of dietary choices, and so on. So I was very kind of intrigued when I was in England that the amount of colon cancer that used to be around, and India is relatively, sort of rarer. And I think that's due to the primary kind of, like the so-called protein-based meat diet. A lot of people in England would only eat steak and chicken for their whole lives, and then in their 50s, 60s, the incidence of colon cancer is so much higher. So these are all lifestyle choices which have led to, kind of dysfunction in an organ or a system. So obviously majority of the lung cancers are linked to smoking, and that's a irrefutable fact, but people do that for whatever reason. And I think nicotine is one of the kind of most addictive substance known to man, if you ask me, after heroin or on par with heroin. So in spite of all these messages that we throw around, in the cinema houses, on the cigarette packs and on the BD packs, people still like blow away to glory across the country, isn't it? And that, so I think the psychological factors, to summarize, would be that if you're a highly strung person, if you're stressed out because of your choices, then you cope with unhealthy lifestyle choices to deal with that can lead to a lot of cancer. So if we can try and minimize that, it's better.
Yes. Thank you, Dr. Vinod. So, Dr. Rahul, very interesting question that comes, after what Dr. Vinod has said, specific colon cancer, where in United Kingdom he has found there were more cases. Also, the environmental factors like chemicals, mutants, or you may add to the latest thing that is smartphones, or the invisible rays. Are there any any research supporting all these things, or what is your say? What do you think that how environment is affecting the current environment?
Sunil, absolutely right. You remember the COVID days when there was a complete lockdown. You really enjoyed going to your balcony and taking a deep breath. Yes. I did it. I could see what the blue color mattered to us. What was the blue color originally in Delhi is. And these pollutant and chemical things, as well as the pollutant in the water and across the rivers, and we know from up north states like Punjab, where there's too much of a green revolution when it took place, and the fertilizers and the chemicals were utilized left, right, and center to bring the needs of the people, to bring it out from poverty. We did see a rise in cancers like blood cancers, simply like Hodgkin's lymphoma and non-Hodgkin's lymphoma. We did saw that there was an increase in the number of cases. So we know for sure that these pesticides and insecticides do lead to increase in cancer incidences, and whichever place it has happened, we know from Africa, we know from India itself. But what about the towers and the mobiles? These are like based more on anecdotal things and emotional things rather than based on a purely scientific literature. It has never been proven. People still come to me and say, "Doc, please give me a letter that tower of Airtel was there, and that's why my son has developed cancer." Okay, I can't do that. People do still think that the tower leads to electromagnetic rays, and there's a lot more things which goes on the WhatsApp media and WhatsApp groups to tell you what the cancer and how you can prevent cancer. But to be honest, Sunil, there is no one single way of preventing the cancer in the current status. You just can't keep air purifier with you 24/7 so that you will not inhale the external environment. Of course, I mean, it's full of smog in Delhi and Gurgaon. You know that. Okay. But what is required, Sunil? We have been talking about prevention. Good, it's good. We will prevent it. We will lead to a prevention. But my biggest question is, why not pick it up early stage? Let's start a strategy of picking up cancer at stage 1. Did the Egyptian mummies not show breast cancer? Didn't they show bone cancers? They did show. Though the incidence has increased, but the cancer, it is not that it's a problem of Kali Yuga. It was there in Satyuga as well. Okay. So please understand that fact, and people needs to understand that fact is be intolerant. The biggest problem with the Indian is that I think Rahul Bhargava thinks he can drink because he's not going to get cancer. Why? I mean, all of us sitting in this room, virtual room, are humans. And the cells behave humanly. They don't care what Rahul Bhargava is or what Vinod is when I'm a prime minister or president of the country. The cell doesn't know inside. So people will develop cancer. So let's not be afraid of this word called cancer. Let's not talk it in a hush-hush voice. We are all there to help you out and tell you, empower you, bring knowledge on table is that we are going to save you. Come to us in stage 1. Buy insurances. Keep the health budgeted. Why I keep on saying is keep the health budgeted. Because I remember, you will agree to me, is my mother used to have 4 pockets, one for milk, one for sabji, one for something, and one for general household expenses. There was never a healthcare expenditure the money was kept in. Why? Because we never thought that we can become sick. It's all of us. It's all across the country. That is why we require the financial security. That is why we require the knowledge without getting scared, because we keep on delaying. We have become like a pigeon who has a cat in front and said, cat is not going to because I can't see. Oh, it's going to have. Please understand, cancer is curable if treated early. Cancer is not expensive treatment now. Please heed to the problems of today's world. Is we are living in a cancer world, just like diabetes, hypertension, asthma, any other thing, any other problem, cancer is one of them. That's all.
Thank you, Doctor. One interesting point that you brought out, and that leads me to the next question for you, Dr. Kumar, is that once there is social stigma to some extent, or it is generally considered if you suffer from cancer that the end, this is the end, and that makes people emotionally stressed when diagnosis is informed to them. Then how does one deal with that thing? I mean, how does one deal with an emotional stress of being diagnosed with a cancer?
From the days of the yesteryear film Anand, when you remember Rajesh Khanna, was diagnosed with blood cancer, and so these sort of things in the culture leave an indelible mark on people's psyche. So, forever people have been thinking about cancer as this dreaded, the word cancer itself has developed so much stigma around it. It gives you the kind of visual images of a kind of crawly, spidery thing eating away at your life or your chi or your prana, if you like, So it's that deeply ingrained in people's mind. So, if say, Sunil, God forbid, you or me are ever diagnosed with a form of a cancer, can you just imagine imagine the impact it would have on us. See, our best laid plans would go for a spin, right? So, we have got our holidays planned, or our kids' education, or whatever else, the next promotion or the appraisal and so on. So now suddenly this demon has been like unleashed in your life, right? And now what are you going to do? There's so much, like, as you can imagine, so much myths and misconceptions around it. Like what Rahul was trying to say, that, the essential thing is to know that, it's 20 or 40 years since Anand was made, and things have evolved in the treatment approaches. And so early recognition and treatment adherence, and not falling prey to. So, just to give you an anecdote, there was this sort of Jain monk, last month. She was developed with multiple myeloma. Now, I introduced them to my friend, who's a hematologist in Bangalore, and he gave them the kind of, diagnostic rundown and the treatment options and so on. Instead of, he's like, we have to act now, obviously. And these guys then involved an Ayurvedic practitioner, right? And this guy said, "Aap mujhe 6 mahine do, main aapka cure karta hu," jadi bootiyon se or whatever he was proposing. And these guys fell for it. I had to go and literally fight for that monk's life, and with all the so-called kind of people in power there. And I mean, I can imagine that's just an anecdote of what happens in our country. You can imagine rural India, where you get a diagnosis of stage 1, this or that, and then, some faith healer, some sort of person is going to mislead them, because, the best opportunity to kind of skim a man of his wealth is when he's vulnerable and emotionally fragile. है ना? तो आपका कैंसर डायग्नोसिस हुआ, मतलब फिर अभी तो स्ट्राइक द आयरन व्हाइल इट्स रेड हॉट, तो बहुत सारे अपॉर्चुनिस्ट है अपने देश में, बहुत ज्यादा मिस इंफॉर्मेशन, मिथ्स एंड मिसकंसेप्शंस है. द रिएक्शन टू अ डायग्नोसिस ऑफ कैंसर इमोशनली इज ह्यूज इवन फॉर द बेस्ट ऑफ अस, राइट? सो अ लॉट ऑफ स्टडीज हैव बीन डन ऑन द रेट्स ऑफ depression and anxiety-based disorders across different forms of cancers and so on. And if you look at the literature, the range can go from 5% to 50-60%. In my personal opinion, from the whole process, from the point, say, Vinod has been diagnosed with lung cancer, till he receives his treatment and clarity of treatment, till he goes through his surgery, till he goes through his chemotherapy and radiotherapy and so on, that whole process is nightmarish. Not only for me, for my wife, for my kids, for my parents and so on. Now, the whole emotional toll is to be endured, financial, emotional, social toll has to be endured by the person and the family. So, I really find it hard to believe that, most cancer centers in the country don't have a fully developed psycho-oncology multidisciplinary team where, so you'll need interventions which would range from just supportive counseling to basic sort of CBT based, as we call, therapy for people who are going through a difficult time in their life, to giving appropriate and judicious medications. There's such, like how there's evolution in cancer care, evolution in mental health care is mind-boggling. I think some of the modern day medicines are absolutely miraculous. So it's like somebody, if somebody's got physical pain, तो हम कुछ भी करेंगे उसके लिए, सर्जिकल इंटरवेंशन, नर्व ब्लॉक से ओपिएट देंगे. बट जब मेंटल पेन है, वो जो दिखता नहीं है, जो इट्स नॉट वेरी टैंजिबल, देन पीपल आर काइंड ऑफ नहीं साइकियाट्रिस्ट को, and that kind of a thing. So the stigmas, the myths and misconceptions are there around in our culture, in our society at every level, and my only point is that it's a difficult thing to go through for anybody. And if you can get the right support and help, the outcomes are better. There's a lot of evidence to show that, if depression is not tackled, in the right way, then the prognosis is poorer in cancer patients, because so many things happen. See, your intent, your kind of optimism is key to the treatment success of any treatment process, right? Now, if you give up mentally, and if you're kind of clinically depressed, and you don't see a way out of your current predicament, and the outcome of your chemotherapy, radiotherapy is going to be poorer, and that's been proven. And see, when you give kind of heavy duty medications, there will be an impact on the body. So, there's something called as delirium that happens quite often in cancer patients. There's other psychological issues that come to fore. See, I'll tell you, all psychological issues like mental health problems, like depression, even psychosis, mania, mood disorders, they are all precipitated by unrelenting stress. Now, a cancer ke diagnosis zyada stress kya hota hai? It's quite a stressful event in anybody's life, right? So it will unmask, sort of other potential mental health problems. If say you have a personality where you're a bit dysfunctional, ki aap thode suspicious ho, you're a bit emotionally unstable, or you're a bit obsessive by nature. Now, when you're under stress, those traits get exaggerated many folds. So if you get the right kind of therapy, right kind of support, right kind of medications, then you're gonna get through it. It's so much better. See, when I first came to India, I went and approached, I won't name the hospitals, but massive setups in Bangalore, with a proposal to set up a fully functional oncology team. And the response was very lukewarm. Because somehow it doesn't gel. People are not very happy to see a psychiatrist like me, or at least it was like that before. It's changed now, big time. Or secondly, and I would say this very openly, that our interventions are not very lucrative for private setup, So, it's it is, because hum baat karte hain aur 10 rupees ki tablet dete hain, you know what I mean? So it doesn't, the ROI for private players in healthcare industry is not that great. So there's not so much interest, there's not so much traction. But I think that any respectable cancer care center in this world, if it doesn't have a fully fledged, fully seated, fully trained, functional psycho-oncology team, then it's lacking. That's my opinion on that. So
very interesting, Dr. Vinod Kumar. So because you talked about how how the decisions are taken. Some people get they fall prey to quackery or miraculous treatment offered by the quacks, and also family has a role to play here, because next of kin, those who the family members and conspicuous care, everyone is trying to show their sympathy. How can family work together with the individual who is suffering from cancer, with the patient? What is their role, and what do you think about it?
It's a very cultural thing. Our culture, even now, is very family centric. Even if so there's always a person who is the sole earning member, like there's a father or a brother. Now, he is the financial pivot of the family, and everybody is sort of rallying around the person. That's usually the case even today, in spite of the kind of nuclear family proliferation and the modern way of living. So, when one person, or if that person, or say a child for the matter, and I think Rahul would know a lot more about that, because just imagine कि आपके बच्चों को leukemia, ALL, AML diagnosis हुआ है. I mean, it's earth shattering, it's life shattering, and God forbid if you lose a child to cancer, I don't think you can recover from that.
Yes.
So it's a system that gets affected. It's not just the individual, because everything gets shaken up. Now, obviously, the family needs the carer. Stress is tremendous there, So they need their own support and guidance and mentoring and so on, and holding, containing. Because if the family members who are going to be the carers of that patient, if they are not functional, if they are themselves kind of completely shaken, then his support system is gone, right? So you can't look at the individual in isolation.
My next question to you, Dr. Rahul, that though there are a lot of screening, that is available, Pap smear, mammogram, or other ways of. In some cases, cancer is detected quite late, and by the time person has already, the cancer is advanced, metastasis has occurred. Why does this happen, and what can one do? Is it periodic screening, or how does one overcome this problem?
Very nice question, Sunil. I think there are certain elements in the disease itself which place it under the carpet, and by the time they reveal themselves, like carcinoma gallbladder, pancreas, they're already stage 4. So we can't do anything. It's just our luck and the disease type which has. But the rest, say breast cancer, head and neck cancer, lymphomas, leukemias, they can be detected early. The biggest problem in the country is right now is three. First, the cancer generally is considered as a death sentence.
Yeah.
Through your media, I'm trying to tell them the cancer is no longer a death sentence, and you will live up to 75 years of age, provided you come with a stage 1 disease to us. One. Second, the fear of chemotherapy. Why? Because we still have a remembrance of Anand movie, but we don't have the years of what Dr. Vinod and me are telling over past couple of years, is that the cancer therapy has become more sophisticated. It does not lead to hair falls, and probably me and he has lost hairs because of preaching on top of voice 200 times to the general public of 140 crores. That chemotherapy is sophisticated, it's not expensive, it is smart, it is not like a pan bomb, it is targeted. So please need not be afraid. You are in 2022. My patients comes on a Friday morning, afternoon, they get the chemotherapy, and Monday morning they go back to office. And being bald, even in certain chemotherapy, still you get bald. Baldness is a sign, is a fashion statement. It's no longer a stigma. Okay? Yeah. The kind of a rip off jeans which you can wear is a fashion statement. Baldness, me and Dr. Vinod there's a fashion statement. Isn't that, Dr. Vinod?
I would completely agree, because I always say, sir, that जो अपने नाखून होते हैं और बाल होते हैं, they are dead appendages. We don't walk around growing our nails, and so you just feel so much freer. The day I started losing hair, I started feeling initially there was a bit of a setback, but then when I accepted it, it is so freeing. नहीं तो bad hair day और ये shampoo नहीं किया और ये तेल नहीं लगाया, ये सब नाटक ही नहीं. You just shower is like a 4-minute job. Just go and you're out. And I see my wife and my daughter constantly आज तेल लगा रहे, आज शिकाकाई लगा रहे. I mean, when I काट दो यार, छोटे कर दो, so but yeah. So I think if you lose hair because of chemotherapy, it's no biggie. It will come back. First point is that, isn't it? Because it's not a irreversible hair loss, isn't it? Because the roots are still there, and when they grow out again.
And the third problem is they think it's very expensive. And today's third myth, which I'm going to bust, is this not expensive. The government, the insurance, your self-financing, they are making sure that out-of-pocket expenditure are coming down. It's just that we need a more health as well as economic education so that we can plan. Or not even plan, at least we can think that if this eventuality comes, I've got enough cash at hand. So cancer therapy is not expensive. My friend, CML therapy costs 2,000 rupees. Multiple myeloma, which started with 1 lakh rupees, now gets a treatment in 3,000 rupees. The trastuzumab, which started as 1.5 lakh rupees, now costs 53,000 because of the thanks to generic. Yes, I agree, for many of them it might be 53,000 will also be expensive. But have we planned at the age of 23 that my health expenditure at the age of 45, 50, if it comes, then should I plan it? Have I planned it? All you need is a smart health as well as financial education to tide over the crisis, which might not happen at the age of 35.
Yes.
But that will happen at the age of 55 and 65. So go and secure your future.
Yes.
Every place which I stand, yesterday or day before yesterday on Saturday, I was there in Bina, which is a small Tehsil town. I said, all the Agarwal Samaj, did you had insurance? And you know how many, out of 120 people, how many hands was raised? 3. They said, dog, we have got cash. We are a business family. We never traditionally took insurances. I say, you're not buying insurance for today. You're buying your insurance because you are going to be alive till 75 years of age. So dear friends, we are not dying early. We are going to live. And living well means that many things have to change. Your attitude has to change towards me. Your attitude towards your colleague who's suffering through a cancer is not of sympathy, but empathy. You have to take them along. You don't have to say, oh, cancer ho gaya tere ko. Ab kya hoga? Pitaji ka kya hoga? Bachchon ka kya hoga? No. You don't need to discuss that. You say, okay, ho gaya, chal, kaam karte hain, dekhenge. That's what they want. They want a pad. They want to feel normal within your company. That's what we need to do. So, change within ourselves. You demand the change within the hospitals to make it less cumbersome. Do a financial planning. And I'm telling you, by 2025, this place will be like America. So yesterday I got a call from a family who's a techie who wants to come back to India because insurance is getting over. His wife was worried that, do I have a Dr. Vinod Kumar in my hospital? I said, we have. He says, do you have a dietitian in your hospital? I said, we have. I said, when did you left the country? This 10 years. My dear, I was told, in those 10 years, country has changed. We understand the pain, what happens in the mental side also. We also happens to know what the physical side means. If we address the physical pain, we also address the mental pain. If we address a cardiology problem with the same stride, we assure you that the cancer we will win over because of the generic medications, innovations, and the societal support. So we are there. All we require is be intolerant to your body, understand your body, listen to what your body says, what Dr. Vinod says, listen to your breath. And I'll go one step, listen to your body. Body tells you to slow down, to calm down, which my body is already telling me. So guys, together we will win. I'm sure about it.
Yes. I mean, the point that you touched, one of the very interesting point was on the financial side, that one has to be prepared not only for cancer. I mean, any other health related thing, that how in the old times people used to keep aside money for different things, weddings or groceries, etc. But there was less importance given to the health, considering everything is fine. Even in the practice, when I meet people, they say, aaj tak sab acha tha, abhi tak mujhe kuch hua nahi. And all of a sudden, so there is, there won't be a news coming first and then you will fall sick, and one has to be prepared for everything. And it is interesting to be prepared. It is sensible to be prepared, basically, having some kind of financial stability or preparation, like investing in health insurance, buying some minimal health insurance, so that, and not only for cancer, for any other condition. Yes, doctor.
So the biggest problem is at the youth level, we never think that we can become sick.
Yes.
We're out there to conquer the world.
Yeah.
But as we drawn to 40, 50, then we start realizing that even the best of the car like Toyota also gets a breakdown. The BMWs of this world is not immortal. They just continue. Once you buy, they just continues for lifelong.
Yes.
So it's not about cancer. It as per se about health, awareness that we all can become sick. And that sickness should not lead us to below poverty line.
Yes.
That should sickness, during the time of the sickness, we should not add the stress of financial toxicity on our mind. Because we know the healthcare, whatever expensive is a relative term, theory of relativity, between three of us, anything could be expensive and it could be cheap.
Yes.
But have a substantial amount, a decent amount, where you can be taken care of if you become and fall sick. Because you will fall sick. The strongest and the loudest message is, if you fall sick, it's not that if you fall sick. When you fall sick, what is the contingency plan you have? Don't add if. All of us will fall sick. All of us.
Yes.
So, when you fall sick, what will you have a contingency plan at the age of 40 is what health awareness and the financial awareness brings it together. It's called health financial awareness.
Thank you, doctor. I think I understand. You might be coming across some patients, maybe those who have not prepared, and it comes directly from your heart. And also on the mental health side, considering the recent budget also talking about it, and there's a lot of attention coming to mental health side as well. Dr. Vinod, that there's a lot of concentration, a lot of focus has come on the mental health and also the cancer health. It was very, 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 a very knowledgeable session. Thanks to you, Dr. Bhargav and Dr. Kumar. And there is a lot to learn, lot that all of us can take away from this interaction, so that we all are protected against cancer, not just physically, but also socially, emotionally, and financially. This holistic understanding will help us stay alert and aware and aid us in understanding cancer's impact on not just us, but also our loved ones. Thank you everyone for tuning in. We hope you stay safe and protected. Stay tuned for more health from home videos. Thank you everyone.